India's electrification story on the two-wheeler side, while encouraging, has been somewhat one-dimensional so far. You see, most manufacturers or startups who have entered this space have had to limit their offerings in terms of battery capacity and performance output because they need to qualify for a certain subsidy. But that is changing, and it begins with this. This is the Ultraviolette F77, a no-holds-barred performance electric motorcycle. And it's not just a new bike. I believe it is a landmark moment in India's motorcycling history because we've never seen an electric two-wheeler with this kind of laser-sharp focus on performance. So come with me as I tell you all you need to know about the F77 and how it performs on our roads in News 9 Live's review. While it is true that the Ultraviolette F77 was always meant to be an urban sports motorcycle, the bike you see here is a far cry from what we saw in 2019. Back then, the concept of the F77 was vastly different in the way that it relied on a swappable battery system, which, while seemingly convenient, was just not feasible to put into production. At the time, Ultraviolette even announced prices for the bike. But as fate would have it, COVID-19 brought everything to a grinding halt early in 2020. The pandemic changed the world, and with it, changed the F77. Ultraviolette went back to the drawing board, ditching the swappable batteries for a substantially larger, fixed battery pack, and optimized the basic structure of the bike to offset the rise in battery weight. In the process, the F77 went from being just a fast electric motorcycle to being a fast electric motorcycle with the highest range today. 3 years and over 1 lakh kilometers of on-road testing later, the F77 is finally ready for the road. And luckily, the extensive structural changes haven't impacted the looks. Ultraviolette has always been keen to talk about its aviation-derived styling influence, and that is very apparent with the design of the F77. You can see it has this tipped forward, propped forward sort of stance which is aggressive, and just looking at the motorcycle you will be able to see multiple design and styling cues which you may find similar to some motorcycles from KTM and Ducati. But I think overall it looks pretty nice. The bodywork is pretty clean. There are no bolts or screws that are visible on the outside, and that again Ultraviolette says is a touch derived from the world of aviation. And on the whole, as you can see, it's a pretty sporty looking motorcycle, makes the F77's intentions known at very first glance. It's a semi-fed motorcycle, so the headlight of course is completely naked, but under here you will find the biggest battery pack fitted to any electric two-wheeler in India. The LED daytime running light incorporated into the headlight housing echoes the U and V in the brand name. The midsection is well sculpted and the high tail section looks tidy. All LED lighting is standard, and you can even have a full disc rear wheel for a price, which aids aerodynamic efficiency and adds to the avant-garde appearance. There's no doubt about it, the F77 comes across as a breath of fresh air at a time when the market is inundated with generic-looking electric two-wheelers. It's balanced and well-proportioned, and even the styling cues, including the shrouded front fork and the colors of the Indian flag, are tastefully executed, which is impressive considering how easy it could be to go over the top with a bike like this. In this red laser spec, the F77 is a proper head-turner. Even on an ordinary Tuesday morning, it had other motorists craning their necks to take a better look. And for many, the crowd-pulling ability of the F77 will be a draw. Given the brief, it's no surprise the F77 has the rider assume an aggressive riding position. The handlebar is reasonably wide, but you also sit fairly high, with seat height rated at 800mm, the same as a Royal Enfield Himalayan. While tall riders will be completely at ease, shorter individuals will find it somewhat challenging. The height of the seat, coupled with the over 200 kg weight of the motorcycle, makes it difficult to tiptoe around comfortably, especially on a decline, because you'll always be on the edge of your toes. And if you happen to tip the motorcycle past a certain degree, it'll be tough to stop it from landing on its side given the sheer heft of the bike. Thankfully, the aero fins built into the side panels also double up as crash guards to limit damage to the bodywork in case you do drop the motorcycle. The seat itself has thin cushioning, but because it is generously proportioned, there's a lot of room to move around and it will comfortably accommodate riders of all sizes. The cushioning is on the firmer side, but while it may not feel super comfortable when you sit on it the first time, it's actually pretty good at keeping the rider comfortable over extended spells on the road. Like on most sports motorcycles, the pillion seat isn't exactly what you'd call welcoming, and actual grab handles are sorely missed, purely because the F77's rapid acceleration will have the pillion searching for something to hold on to. The centerpiece of the F77 is its giant battery pack, a 10.3 kWh unit featuring an all-aluminium casing and 5 levels of inbuilt safety systems. More than twice the capacity of the original bike, this IP67 rated battery pack, named SRB10, also uses 21700 format cylindrical NMC cells instead of the 18650 format cells used previously, and weighs about 60 kilograms. The trade-off? This pack gives the F77 a range of up to 307 kilometers on the Indian drive cycle, the highest for any electric two-wheeler currently on sale. To make up for the added weight, there's a revised steel trellis frame that's 30% lighter and twice as stiff as the original. The swing arm is a cast unit and has been strengthened, and the motor mount itself is now a stressed member, with all these changes aimed at further sharpening the bike's dynamics. Still, the F77 weighs a considerable 207 kg, which makes it heavier than almost all sub 300cc petrol motorcycles. Of course, there's no getting away from the mass that sits low and between your legs, but on the move, the F77 feels delightfully fleet-footed. This is thanks to the permanent magnet motor, which develops a peak 38.9 horsepower and, more importantly, delivers an impressive 95 Nm of torque right from the get-go. The F77 has 3 ride modes: Glide, Combat and Ballistic. As you would imagine, Glide is what you start off with, and throttle response in this mode is mostly muted, as Glide is mapped for maximum efficiency, so it's best left for times when you don't want to get anywhere in a hurry. Top speed in this mode is limited to 80 km/h, and it sure takes a while to get there. Switch to Combat and the difference is felt immediately. There's increased urgency in the way the bike covers ground, with stronger roll-on acceleration and a higher top speed of 120 km/h. This mode combines the best of both worlds. It has enough performance to scythe through city and highway traffic, but also offers an indicated range of up to 200 km. In Combat, the F77 feels suitably punchy, and you're always assured of having enough juice left to get to wherever you're headed. But in all fairness, it is the all-out ballistic mode that truly encompasses the spirit of the F77. The screen surrounds turn orange when you switch to ballistic, and peak motor output is unlocked. It's no exaggeration when I say I have never experienced this kind of acceleration on an electric two-wheeler till date. In ballistic, the F77 pulls hard, breaching 60 km/h in a touch over 3 seconds, and to 100 km/h faster than you can rattle off even the most basic specifications of the bike. Given a long enough stretch of road, it will easily exceed 140 km/h, and the manner in which it covers ground will have even seasoned riders holding on to the bars at full tilt. Thanks to a firmware update, ballistic mode will now be accessible all the way down to 30% SOC as opposed to 70% SOC previously, which means riders will have the option to cover well over 120 km purely in the bike's most exciting ride mode. What's more impressive though is that the F77 can deliver this brutal performance over and over again without a single complaint. I spent most of my riding time in Combat and Ballistic modes and whacked the throttle open at every given opportunity, but not once did I notice any perceptible slowdown in throttle response or power delivery. All of that power was available every single time I asked for it, and while you can feel some amount of heat emanating from the bodywork, it's never a hindrance. This points to effective thermal management enabled by good design, which is something to be applauded, given the battery pack is only passively air-cooled. That said, I rode the bike on a reasonably cool morning, and it remains to be seen how well the bike performs in higher temperatures. However, it is reassuring to know the battery pack has been tested for ambient temperatures ranging from as low as -20 degrees Celsius and as high as over 60 degrees Celsius, something not every electric two-wheeler manufacturer is concerned about. What's more, Ultraviolette says cold weather will not affect range and that one can still ride the bike in glide or combat modes even in sub-zero temperatures. The first leg of the ride was conducted at the picturesque Nandi Hills in Bengaluru, which was the perfect location to understand the bike's handling abilities. Riding all the way to the top of Nandi Hills, the F77 was in its element, powering through the straights and easing into the corners with a considerable amount of confidence. As you go higher, the corners turn into hairpin turns, and even there, it was easy to hold the right line through the turns, with the F77 turning predictably and its MRF tires offering plenty of edge grip. It almost goads you on to ride faster, but as long as you're riding it sensibly, the F77's spot-on balance makes dealing with the twisties a real delight. Up front, the F77 has a 41mm upside-down fork, and at the back, a monoshock, both sourced from suspension specialists Gabriel. There's a definite firmness to the F77's ride quality, and while there weren't enough broken patches on our ride route, the bike did thud over road imperfections, and I imagine it won't be the most comfortable to ride over pothole-ridden city roads. What also impacts the rider is that these bumps make it through to the rider's wrists, which are anyway handling the rider's body weight because of the tipped forward riding position. The F77 has regenerative braking with 3 modes: low, medium and high. The system works pretty well, and even in its lowest setting, I managed to ride nearly all the way down from the top of Nandi Hills with no reduction in the indicated 165 km of range. And the brakes themselves are excellent. Sourced from Bybre, the 320mm front disc with a 4 radial piston caliper offers the right feel at the lever, while the foot lever operated 230mm rear disc does a serviceable job of shedding speed. The key to the excellent braking abilities of the F77 is the presence of a dual-channel anti-lock braking system, which works seamlessly and ensures you have the utmost confidence even in emergency situations when you have to scrub off speed in a hurry. I had a chance to experience the bike a second time on the tight Miko go-karting track, and while there wasn't enough room to max it out, it just brought to the fore the F77's well-judged setup. There are no unpleasant surprises, and the bike gently guides you towards the right line to be taken on track, which means you get faster the more you ride it. Ultraviolette will also be able to relay key riding metrics to the rider thanks to the fitment of a 9-axis inertia measurement unit, which will further help riders sharpen their track game. As standard, the F77 will come with a 1.3 kW portable charger, which will take around 10 hours to fully replenish the battery, effectively making it an overnight charging solution. However, Ultraviolette is also offering a more powerful 3.3 kW boost charger, which is also portable, can add up to 75 km of range in an hour's time and charge the bike fully in less than 4 hours. However, it must be noted that the boost charger will cost an additional Rs 26,650 if a rider opts for it instead of the standard charger. In case you want both, you will have to shell out an extra Rs 42,500 over and above the cost of the bike. Battery warranty on the Recon variant I rode is 5 years or 50,000 km as standard. However, a buyer can opt for the extended warranty option, which takes total coverage up to 8 years or 1 lakh kilometers. This, of course, costs an additional Rs 16,400, but it would be advisable to opt for it, simply because the F77's supersized battery pack makes up roughly 40% of the bike's price, so if something does go wrong with it, having it replaced will almost certainly be an expensive affair. For those who don't seek the full-fat F77 experience, there will also be a variant with a smaller 7.1 kWh battery pack. It's lighter by 10 kg, and while it has slightly less performance than the Recon, it should still be fun given the difference in weight. At Rs 3,80,000, it's also the most accessible F77 there is. There are of course some downsides. The rearview mirrors, shaped more by the need for efficiency and aesthetics, are smaller than I'd like them to be and offer extremely limited scope for adjustment. The 5-inch digital instruments display is a size that went out of fashion 5 years ago, and while it relays all the key information, some of those are hard to see on the move, an issue further aggravated by the weak screen brightness. The switchgear feels okay for the most part, but could be better. And the switch to change ride modes is also the kill switch, and on one occasion I ended up inadvertently switching the powertrain off when I wanted to go into another ride mode, which could have been dangerous given that I was on an incline and the bike simply started rolling backwards. On that note, there's also no hill hold control, something we're starting to see in more affordable electric scooters and a feature that should eventually also come to the F77. And making 3-point turns without falling over, especially on a gradient, for those who aren't tall will be a real task. Then there's the price. At Rs 4,55,000, the F77 finds itself at the premium end of the two-wheeler market. The overall market share of motorcycles costing over Rs 4 lakh in India is a single-digit figure, a space occupied mainly by established brands selling top-of-the-line performance-oriented motorcycles. Bearing this and supply chain constraints in mind, Ultraviolette has set itself a realistic production target of 15,000 F77s in the first year. It is clear that the F77 at this price will remain a choice for only a handful of enthusiasts. But there's something else that needs considering. The fundamentals of the motorcycle are strong, and there's a refreshing clarity of purpose both about the F77 and Ultraviolette as a startup. When the going got tough through the pandemic years, Ultraviolette could have pivoted to making something more accessible, which would possibly help it qualify for government subsidies. But then, Ultraviolette would be just another face in the e-two-wheeler crowd. Instead, the startup doubled down on its vision and has rolled out a product that, at least for now, has no equal in India and one that could possibly be a strong seller even overseas. Truth be told, the Ultraviolette F77 is not without its drawbacks. It's not the most practical motorcycle for city usage. It's not the most comfortable motorcycle that you can buy. It has a small, rather dated looking screen. And then there's the fact that it weighs over 200 kilos, which will be a little difficult to manage for a lot of people. Then again, you have to look at it another way. Is there anyone else building a performance electric motorcycle in India today? The Ultraviolette F77 does exactly what it says on the tin. In ballistic mode, it has brutal performance. It pulls so hard, you've never experienced anything like this on an electric two-wheeler in India before. It handles well, it feels balanced, you feel at one with the motorcycle when you're riding it. And really, I have to say that the F77 is not just another motorcycle, but it's the most ambitious electric two-wheeler, or should I say the most ambitious electric vehicle to be born and produced in India till date. And just for that reason, I believe that it warrants your attention. Of course, there is another line of thinking that says anybody who wants a conventional performance motorcycle will still go for a regular petrol-powered model. But if you want something new, if you want to experience what Ultraviolette has been working on all these years and has finally managed to put on the road, I suggest you do give it a shot, because this will certainly put a smile on your face. Remember to tell us what you think of the F77. Remember to leave your feedback for us in the comments section. Like and share this video, and remember to subscribe to News 9 Live.